There's always one type of personality that begins to crack the moment a Sigma male enters the room. It doesn't matter how confident they seem, how loud their voice is, or how tightly they try to control the narrative. Once they encounter a Sigma, something inside them begins to unravel. And this isn't about ego, hatred, or rivalry. It's about exposure, the moment when someone built on manipulation, performance, and surface-level dominance finally comes face-to-face with a man who plays by none of their rules. Because the Sigma male is different. He's calm, observant, and quietly centered. A man who doesn't react, doesn't chase, and doesn't perform for attention. He carries the kind of stillness that makes others uneasy, the kind that reveals truth without saying a word. Modern behavioral writers often describe this as psychological dissonance. When someone who depends on control meets someone who's completely immune to it, the Sigma becomes a mirror, silent, steady, and unshakably real. And for people who thrive on validation, that reflection is unbearable. Think of the manipulator who feeds on emotional reactions, the social climber obsessed with status, the so-called alpha who needs the spotlight to feel alive, or the narcissist who survives on admiration and control. They all rely on others to affirm their power. But when they meet a man who doesn't play along, their entire structure collapses. They throw bait, he doesn't bite. They push, he doesn't move. They raise their voice, he listens quietly. They try to dominate, but he's already outside their game. And that's when their illusion starts to crumble. Because the Sigma male never fights head-on. He doesn't argue. He doesn't react. He simply stands still, and in doing so, he reveals what they've been hiding all along. Their insecurity, their desperation, their fear of losing control. That's the quiet brilliance of his strength. He doesn't destroy others. He lets them destroy their own illusion. In this video, we'll explore 6 powerful ways the Sigma male dismantles manipulative personalities, not through conflict or aggression, but through presence, composure, and truth. Way number 1. He refuses to dance to their timeline. Control, that's the lifeblood of every manipulative personality. And one of their sharpest tools is time pressure. They love forcing quick decisions, demanding instant answers, and rushing people into emotional reactions. If they can dictate the pace, they can dictate the outcome. But the Sigma male? He never rushes for anyone. He moves with deliberate calm. He thinks before he speaks. He waits before he acts. And most importantly, he refuses to be pushed by someone trying to control the rhythm. So when they bark, "I need an answer right now," he replies evenly, "You'll have it when I'm ready." When they push for urgency, he slows down. When they demand speed, he becomes still. Not to irritate them, but to stay aligned with his truth. And that's when the manipulator starts to lose their grip. Their entire power play depends on emotional speed, on others panicking, pleasing, reacting. But the Sigma's stillness pulls the ground from under them. He won't play the deadline game. He won't get tangled in emotional traps. If something feels off, he'll simply walk away. No panic, no drama, no justification. And that quiet exit hits harder than any confrontation ever could. In doing so, the Sigma male reveals something most people never notice. How often they surrender their power just to avoid discomfort. When others watch him stand his ground against time pressure, something shifts. They start questioning why they rush, why they comply, why they give in so easily. And suddenly, the manipulator's control, the illusion of authority, begins to crumble. The Sigma male understands a truth most overlook. Clarity takes time, and desperation is a trap. His slow, deliberate pace exposes the manipulator's frantic energy, making them look loud, unstable, and painfully insecure. And once that image breaks, so does the respect they've built around it. Way number 2. He breaks their social games. Manipulative personalities live off social structure. They play politics. They climb invisible ladders. Every move is about status, gossip, and control, keeping themselves at the top of some unspoken hierarchy. They charm when it serves them, intimidate when it doesn't, and constantly calculate their next step. But when a Sigma male enters their world, all of that starts to fall apart. He doesn't care who's in charge. He doesn't seek approval or alliances. He doesn't even acknowledge the hierarchy they're trying to control. And that alone is enough to shatter the system. While everyone else is busy competing to climb higher, the Sigma simply walks his own path. Outside the building they're all trying to conquer. And suddenly, the ladder they've built looks meaningless. Because here's the truth. You can't manipulate someone who doesn't want your validation. You can't dominate someone who doesn't play your game. And that's what makes the Sigma so dangerous to fake authority. His very existence invalidates their entire power structure. He doesn't need to challenge the so-called leader head-on. He simply steps outside their game altogether. While others scramble for hierarchy, the Sigma male refuses to play. He'll greet the janitor with the same grounded respect he gives the CEO. His tone never shifts to impress or please. He speaks when something truly matters, not to gain favor, not to perform, but to express truth. And that alone drives the dominant, manipulative personality insane. They're accustomed to people bending slightly, adjusting their tone, flattering their ego, and walking on eggshells to stay in good standing. But the Sigma male? He does none of that. He sees through every hidden motive, every subtle play for power, and instead of reacting, he simply moves at his own pace. When this type tries to trap him through sarcasm, fake compliments, or passive-aggressive digs, he doesn't flinch. Sometimes he'll respond with calm precision. Sometimes not at all. Either way, he starves the drama of oxygen, and it dies right there. And that's what makes it powerful. The manipulator ends up looking like they're trying too hard, like someone performing on a stage no one's watching anymore. Their social tactics suddenly look forced, out of place, even desperate. And once others notice that those little games don't work on the Sigma male, they stop believing in them too. The Sigma male never sets out to lead, yet by refusing to follow false leaders, he creates a new kind of order, one based on clarity, calmness, and self-respect instead of manipulation. That's how he dismantles social power, not by fighting it, but by being utterly immune to it. Way number 3, he exposes their need for approval. The personality type that crumbles around a Sigma male is addicted to attention. They need it the way others need air. Whether it's applause, fear, laughter, admiration, or even hate, as long as someone's watching, they feel alive. But when they face a Sigma, that constant source of validation suddenly dries up. When they brag, he stays quiet. When they show off, he doesn't flinch. When they try to dominate a conversation, he lets them speak, then calmly drops one short sentence that cuts through the noise like a blade. This confuses and frustrates them. They're used to reactions, to people responding, clapping, feeding their ego. But the Sigma male remains grounded, and his stillness feels like rejection to someone who thrives on being noticed. The harder they try to provoke him, the more he pulls away, not from anger, but pure indifference. And this dynamic reveals something raw and deeply uncomfortable, their hidden neediness. It's not the obvious kind of desperation people can see. It's the silent, internal voice that whispers, "Please notice me. Please react. Please let me feel powerful through your response." The Sigma sees it immediately and simply refuses to feed it. He might smile faintly, say nothing at all, or just walk away. And that's when the manipulator begins to lose control. Because they can't move him. They can't shake him. And in that moment, they're exposed not by confrontation, but by contrast. Here's where the real shift happens. When others around them notice that the Sigma male doesn't bend, doesn't bow, doesn't flinch, they start questioning that manipulator's power too. The illusion starts cracking. The social mask falls apart. And the person who once controlled the room suddenly looks small, desperate, and hollow. That's the first way the Sigma male dismantles these personalities, by refusing to give them what they crave, and in doing so, showing everyone how empty their dominance really is. Way number 4. He leaves them behind when they stall. For manipulative people, attention is oxygen. As long as others keep reacting, Whether through fear, praise, anger, or argument, they feel in control. The moment that attention fades, they lose their grip. And the Sigma male knows this better than anyone. When a connection starts to feel draining or chaotic, he doesn't chase clarity through conflict. He doesn't fight for closure. He simply walks away, quietly, completely, and without resentment. This is where the manipulator truly unravels. They expect resistance, emotional explosions, or at least some lingering reaction. But silence, that terrifies them, because silence means disconnection. It means they no longer exist in his world. The Sigma male doesn't leave to punish. He leaves because he's evolved. He sees that certain energies no longer align with his growth. So he moves forward, unapologetically, without looking back. He doesn't send long explanations. He doesn't try to prove his point. His progress says everything that needs to be said. While they remain trapped in cycles of control and drama, he continues building, and the distance between them becomes a reflection of his growth. The manipulative person watches helplessly as their influence fades. Without his energy, their power dissolves. Without his presence, their tricks lose effect. Eventually, everyone around begins to see it too. The illusion collapses. He never needed to destroy them. He simply outgrew them. That's the ultimate quiet victory of the Sigma male. He breaks their control not by fighting, but by transcending it. He doesn't engage in battles of ego. He doesn't scream for recognition. He just lives in alignment with truth. And in doing so, he exposes every lie. He reveals their addiction to validation by giving them none. He collapses their social strategy by stepping outside their system. He defuses their time pressure by moving at his own pace. He protects his peace with boundaries they can't breach. He sees through their mask without fear or judgment. And finally, he does the one thing that breaks them completely. He walks away and keeps rising without ever looking back. Because a true Sigma male doesn't need a crowd to feel powerful. He doesn't need control to feel secure. His calm, disciplined energy becomes his shield, his silence, his weapon. And that's why no manipulative personality can ever truly conquer him. Most people fight these types by shouting, defending, or matching their chaos. But the Sigma male doesn't fight. He rises above. He observes. He exits. And in doing so, he not only frees himself, he sets an example for everyone watching. Way number 5. He sees through their mask. Manipulative people are masters of disguise. They wear charm like a costume when it serves their interests. They project strength when it gains them power. And when the mask begins to slip, they suddenly become the victim, playing for sympathy to regain control. Every move is part of a performance, carefully rehearsed to earn attention, pity, or influence. And most people fall for it, at least for a while. But not the Sigma male. He observes in silence, piecing together the details others overlook. He listens not just to words, but to the pauses between them. He studies tone, energy, posture, and how someone treats those they gain nothing from. Over time, a pattern emerges, and when it does, the truth becomes obvious. What he sees beneath the act is rarely beautiful. The manipulator's entire power depends on their illusion. So when someone like the Sigma male sees through it, not with judgment but with calm clarity, it shakes them to the core. He doesn't call them out in public. He doesn't warn anyone. He simply stops reacting. The fake charm no longer gets a response. The flattery, the kindness, the subtle guilt trips, all fall flat. The manipulator begins to panic, realizing their tricks have lost power. And then, the truth hits them. The Sigma male sees everything. He sees the fear that hides behind their dominance, the insecurity buried beneath their arrogance, and the control hidden beneath their so-called compassion. Once he recognizes it, there's no going back. The manipulator feels exposed, vulnerable, and desperate. They may try to twist the story, discredit him, or paint him as cold. But it doesn't work because he doesn't argue. He doesn't play their game. He simply stands in truth and lets their own actions reveal them. That's how he dismantles their power, not with revenge or confrontation, but by being the one person who sees the illusion and refuses to play along. Way number 6. He sets boundaries they can't breach. Manipulative personalities survive by testing limits. They push, prod, and cross lines just to see who will stop them. If someone stays silent, they press further. If someone caves, they push again. Their control grows every time someone refuses to say enough. But when they run into a Sigma male, they hit a wall. Not an angry, explosive resistance, but a quiet, immovable one. His boundaries aren't loud or defensive. They're simply there, solid, unspoken, undeniable. He doesn't need to announce his limits or explain them in long speeches. You feel it in his energy. If someone crosses the line, he doesn't argue, he withdraws. And that silence cuts deeper than shouting ever could. He doesn't need to say, "Don't talk to me like that." You feel it in the way his tone cools. He doesn't have to say, "That's not okay." You know instantly by the look in his eyes. Composed, unbothered, final. The manipulator never sees it coming. They expect emotional reactions, guilt, or debate. But the Sigma gives them nothing. Just one firm decision, one they can't undo. This kind of boundary goes far beyond the physical, it's psychological armor. He doesn't just protect his space, he protects his mind. No one gets in without earning their place. He stands rooted in self-respect, grounded in awareness, and completely immune to emotional blackmail. Try to twist his words, guilt-trip him, or play mental chess. He'll see through it before you even finish your move. And his silence? That's what drives manipulators insane. They feed on reaction, they need emotional access to survive. But with him, there are no weak points, no openings, no way in. And when their manipulation hits a wall for the first time, it terrifies them because they're not just losing control of him, they're losing control of themselves. People around start noticing, too. They see his calm resistance, his quiet certainty, and it inspires them. It shows them that real strength doesn't need shouting or drama. It's silent, it's steady, it's unbreakable. And when the manipulator makes one final desperate attempt to regain power, it falls flat. Because once he decides it's over, there's no second act, no comeback, just silence, closure, and complete peace. That's the beauty of quiet firmness. It doesn't just resist manipulation, it destroys it at the root. And that's exactly what true control looks like. If this spoke to you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Epic Persona, where every video helps you sharpen your awareness, protect your energy, and walk through life with unshakable inner power.